I feel like innovation is really important, and that's why I like design in the first place. And I think if we know that AI is not going to innovate, then we have to.
And I will sometimes accidentally break the rule. It's not like there's no intention to it, but I think knowing what the rules are and then being able to make a deliberate choice to do something different, possibly to do something new.
Oh, you don't need PM anymore. ChatGPT can like write up PRD and say, yeah, you don't need designer. Oh, you don't need engineer. Then who's gonna do the work?
There are two sessions I really enjoy today during the config. One is from the Jay, the VP of Design at Ford, and also the talk with Shishir. One of the things I've been keep hearing is that how designer can move into more a pooling mindset, right? Like, for example, if you were designing a chair previously without AI, it's like push, right? Like you push ideas, you push concept out, you build the prototype. Now with the AI, you could experiment multiple. You could let the AI generating 10 different chairs for you, and then you do more pooling, you do more critique, and then you kind of like more rely on the management skill. And like one of the things Shishir was mentioning, very interesting, is like he was seeing both engineer and potential product and design move into manager role in much earlier career.
I think it's like a lot of this you always thing with that was like bringing up, you're shifting designers into being creative directors or to being not even storytellers, but like creating narratives that are trying to be conveyed and being able to like source a lot of material or like curate things and really focus on like the aspect that like really requires taste or like selection. And then the mundane aspects are more managed by the systems and things in place.
So I'm gonna open up to the audience to see if there are any questions. So feel free to have your hands up.
So I am a designer and mainly I use a lot of tools. So about last year I opened my own company, but I'm the only person on the company. So I leverage a lot of like AI tools. And my question is, could designer be the PMs plus like coder and designer and to do the bunch of things all by myself and to push it out to the market? Will it be a trend or it will be, just few people did that? Like, what do you guys think?
I think you're doing it.
Just as an example, I was the first employee of a company called Marketo. It was me and 10 engineers. So I was the project manager, the product manager, the designer, the CSS person, because they didn't want to do that. I knew the guys who were doing frameworks at the time and got them interested in that. Plus I was the trainer, customer support, sales engineer. Like it's me and 10 engineers. That's all that there was. And it was totally successful. You can totally do that. You just have to not worry about like that they're different hats. And if it's successful and you grow and then you hire more people and you give your hats away. And then you end up with the hat that you like the best. Which for me was product design. And you get to choose them.
Okay, thank you so much.
Good luck.
Thanks.
Hey, so I have a question. You talked a lot about writing prompts and using prompts to like design or to prototype. Isn't like by doing that, isn't that kind of like the enemy of exploration? Like because when we originally would prototype, I mean, you look at a tool like Prototype that has so many different knobs and ways of like tweaking every single interaction, and you sometimes just mess around with that, and you get a really cool. Thing that you didn't know you could do. It's almost like, if you look at the early days of like using film and like you don't really know what you're doing, but if you explore and do some experimentation, you get something cool. Would you say that this kind of like prompt by design or design by prompt or prototyping by prompt is kind of like the enemy of exploration? And if so, would that mean that we would be running out of new things at a certain point?
I think it comes back to the stage that you're focused on. Like, if the prompts are for that early amount of breadth and kind of like, almost like collecting and mood boarding a set of ideas, I think that they are pretty good at that. Versus like when they become about trying to define nuance, it's a lot harder. Like you don't get like the feel out of something that you would want yet. And I think it's something that I would look forward to seeing more in the future. But it's because it's like sourcing known patterns and essentially repeating them back to you. It's going to be better for getting that sort of broad knowledge of what's possible, but then choosing the right one and then choosing to refine it in using other tools.
And I'll add that we don't necessarily see them as distinct and opposing forces, right? The idea of you being able to prompt a certain tool, which is, to abstract it a little bit, it's essentially saying you're able to provide very, very nuanced, detailed input in a way that you're comfortable with. Along with the idea of tools having these knobs and dials and things that we've always relied on to be specific and to sort of aid that process of exploration. We're most excited about those two things coming together rather than being farther apart, right? That's kind of the discussion around why we're not super happy with tools that go, and the challenge isn't the prompt, it's what the tool is supposed to do with the prompt. Is it saying that we go from a prompt to the final result immediately? But is it saying that we can start somewhere and then we can build those meaningful knobs and levers, as you were saying, and then take you through the process step by step, still making sure that the exploration, the idea of being intentional, considerate, is baked into the process. But the challenge isn't the prompt itself. It's a jump that is so easy to market right now, that the whole idea of AI hype, which is the coolest, most exciting demo that a lot of companies seem to be focused on, with reality, which is that we still need intention, we still need consideration in the design process, that they can come together, and that's sort of the focus of the internal tools that we build a lot. That's also the kinds of tools that we get most excited about. So you make a good point that prompts are, the kinds of tools that we see built around prompts are very limiting right now, but we don't see that as being the sort of end of it. We want to see our tools evolve to incorporate both of those things together.
I find it sometimes good for divergent exercise. Like I want to see like 20, and then but then not so good on converging. Another thing I try at work is sometimes it gives interesting motion idea or visual it's because we're making a bunch of video experience, and so oh cool, and then it's a little bit fantasy UI and so that was surprisingly interesting. It wasn't not the point that we can actually use any of this, but they give us a good I don't know, fresh thinking, fresh idea, and so but never really good at when you need to converge or be editorial, then not didn't really have much success as of yet. But because sometimes we also work off of model directly, and then prompting and see what it does. It's kind of helpful for us to imagine what this model capability is and see it. So yeah, I think it's depending on the context and intention. It's just one of the two, but it's not going to give you the answer in this. It's what you just need to use for your process and your own job experience.
Down to two short things. The most innovative I've ever been in my career was always because I had really interesting constraints, and that the constraints is what forced the creativity. And just one way of thinking about it is Sherlock Holmes was not that smart without John Watson. That he needed John Watson, and it was always unclear why, but it inspired the right path for him to take. But John Watson wasn't creative. And I think that there's an interplay that can work. It doesn't always, right? It's at the beginning stages right now, but I wouldn't call it the enemy. I just think we just have to work out how that partnership and the symbiosis can work, where when we need a constraint, we're given one. When we need a way out of that, we're inspired. But I don't think it's impossible to do.
One thing I would add is actually identify, I don't think the prompt to the prototype is your enemy. It's actually how do you identify which piece of the work can be using, leveraging the AI. and pinpoint your process. I don't think similarly to what Panama has been sharing, like one prompt generating a product, that obviously doesn't work. But if you're starting to think about which part can be automated, for example, you mentioned prototype, right? You need to tweak a lot of knob to achieve certain effects. If that can be done, I totally understand what I'm doing. If that can be understood and prompted by using AI to generate the animation or prototyping, why not, right? Like that just speed up my process a lot. So I think like understanding which part of your work process can leverage AI can really help you think about be more efficient. Yeah, I feel like sometimes I feel like AI just basically give us superpower, like 10x faster. Yeah.
I'm a UX UI designer for web at my company, and so similar to what you all have been talking about in terms of, working smarter and using AI to do the things that you don't really want to do so you can focus on the thing that you really want to do or need to do. One of the things that I hate doing is QA after I get it back from the engineers. And I wanted to know because we're working with some junior engineers, I wanted to know if you guys have any recommendations of any products that, AI tools that help you expedite that process and help streamline it a little bit, because otherwise I'm in Jira for like 2 hours saying everything that's wrong. Right? And anybody else can answer that too if you guys have.
I don't know any. I feel it is an opportunity, and I've seen lots of teams build basic QA stuff, like being able to extract screenshots and being able to pull them in, and like doing very rudimentary analysis of like even things like measurements of padding and things like that, where none of these have yet turned to AI to try to find higher level patterns that maybe like that fit or don't fit. So unfortunately, I don't have anything good to suggest, but it feels like a good area that somebody should be exploring, because that's the kind of like repetitive and detail-oriented stuff that this could be very good at identifying.
Could be a fun project.
Go ahead. Please.
Could be a fun project.
Right?
we sometimes we use like evaluation tool for AI. But what really helps is to have like goal and matrix, whether it's like what the principle you're after. I want some sort of like, if it's a musicality or like, likeness, if it's like my avatar or something like that. So have very clear, parameter to go after, and sometimes using AI to evaluate in this parameter and let them like experience those sometimes help, but it's not as smart as actually going through like browse and like click all those like buttons and tappable and like has accessibility of any of those yet, but some rudimentary stuff we have tried and it's like pretty good, and you wonder kind of back to like what humans like one thing I hate is reading all the email and then like I don't know, it's like are we supposed to read all the email? So who knows?
I was gonna say, I think it's pleasantly surprising how far current sort of large language models, especially the reasoning models, are able to go with at least getting you started with a sense of, it's going to be fundamental and rudimentary at this point, but if you had a screenshot that you put in front of O3, the ChatGPT's latest, the reasoning model, that sort of slices images up, zooms into specific parts, and takes a very close look, you might be surprised at how much insight that's able to generate for you in terms of the first level of feedback. But I think going beyond that, there are certainly tools, because I feel like a lot of developers work on these kinds of things, so they use their terminology. In code, a lot of times this process is called linting, right? So if you look up design linting tools in the Figma community, you're going to find a number that are kind of doing some of these things. And as the panel, as everyone's been sharing, I think we see opportunities for more work to happen there for sure. But I think with some of these tools, you can start to get somewhere already.
I feel like what you want would be amazing. It's combining 5 tools. So one is Figma, where you can see, somebody is trying to make something. The second is Amplitude or Pendo, where you can actually see the real thing and what people are doing. Right? Then you need to see Jira, which maybe combine that with Git, where you can actually see the code of the thing that's getting like a PR to say like, okay, this is gonna go in. And maybe combine that with user testing to say like, okay, I see what you're trying to do. I know what people do. I see the code. I'm going to like take that to user testing, usability, but also just the agent itself can just run through it and see if the results are coherent and expected. And then maybe even taking it one step further into, and here's what happened after you launched it. I find one of the biggest problems with companies is that they're very ship-oriented, like, I need to ship this feature, and the minute I am done with that feature, I'm gonna be focused on shipping the next feature. Instead of saying, hey, we thought that that feature was pretty good, what happened? You know, did it work? Did it do anything that is good? And that one super agent can have that all of that context. Then it could say like, and here's how amplitude or Pendo changed because of that thing, and it reduced the number of clicks to get from A to B, or it increased the drop-off number, you know, in a positive way, or whatever. And I feel like it is a thing that doesn't happen right now. It is very time-consuming. Writing bugs, if there's a problem into Jira, it's a lot. I have trouble getting designers to even log into production to look at the thing that they did, because when they do, they're like, oh my god, this is totally different than what I thought it was going to be. So that would be amazing. If anybody does know one of those things, I would like to know about it too.
Yes.
Well, thanks for sharing a lot. I got like one closing question. What are one piece of suggestion you would give to the designer during this super fast time of changing?
I would suggest like looking at the things that you enjoy doing, and then trying to figure out like what are the things that you could, well, either shift your own role within an organization. That was the way you used to do things. Now it's how do you shift some of the other aspects over to AI, but like using it as a way of both directing your career but augmenting the kind of skills that you already have. I just think there's an opportunity to redefine what your own role should be, because it's all being like called into question, and do so with sort of an optimistic point of view versus just like a reactive or fear-based one.
I'd say building on that, I think it's never been more important to be as human as you can be. Right, when there are tools and machines assisting with the rest of it, and I think exactly as you said, I think developing a keen sense of taste and discretion, keen sense of judgment around what are the right questions to ask, what are the right problems to solve. Those are the things that are going to determine whether our usage of AI tools can go somewhere or not, right? And leaning into that humanity is going to be essential for us to be good users and good practitioners of design in the age of AI.
For career advice, that I think this like those you are sharing makes so much sense. Like think about like kind of T-shape, that like just like explore a bunch of different things, but think about who you are, your personality, what makes you, and then like type of things that you just like enjoy. It's like so that's like you'll find your who you are yourself, and then like having a lot of fun. Get like having those focus, and that I think that would matter more than before. My hope, is so far it's been like, especially with AI related, those like so much of like more and more, and like I don't know who needs to read more emails. like too much focus on productivity and like efficiency, effectiveness, and it's like it's a good, but like if you think about like what are we doing for humanity, then like what are the negative space? What are like how we can help like human to like pause and like really back to be more human, like what makes us human. So I don't know, I am pretty old, so like my life will depending on what you create the next 10 to 10 years. So I really hope you make the work very more enjoyable. I'm hopeful. One advice and one hope.
There's a bunch of different things I tell young designers, but I think that change is the only constant. things are going to change. And one thing that, if you're a young designer, that you can take some solace in is that you don't become more adaptable as you get older. Like, if anything, you get less adaptable. Adaptability is probably the number one thing I look for when I'm recruiting people. It's the number one I look for leaders, trying to promote them, because things change and people who are not adaptable get in the way really badly. And that whether it's a company that doesn't adapt and they die, or it's people who don't adapt and they become irrelevant in the marketplace, and that we're in a moment of where things are going to change a lot. And the more that you're adaptable, you'll see opportunities, you'll see things that are cool. It's that learner's or student's mind, that everything's an opportunity to learn, everything's an opportunity to see some new thing, that to make some new possibility. And if you just keep that open mind and remain adaptable, whatever comes, you'll not just be able to deal with it, but you might enjoy dealing with it. Because I love change. I love having new things show up that are like, wow, I never thought about that before. I really didn't think that much about chatbots before ChatGPT. Like, I mean, the previous one was Clippy, and that didn't work so well. So, but there'll be something new tomorrow, and then there'll be something new after that. And it's an exciting world, and if you just keep that as part of you, it will really serve you well over the next several decades of your career.
That's great. Thanks so much for our great panel and sharing a lot of the insights. We have been chatting a lot about challenges, opportunities, consideration with the AI impacting in this. So thank you so much. Before we close, I want to give a shout out to pt.2, which sponsor this night event, and we have great food, and we actually have a lot more, and also pie back there.
Hello everyone, I'm Tony, CEO and co-founder of pt.2. So, actually, I made pt.2 in the design mindset. So actually, I used to work at Google as a designer, and pt.2 has been started as my 20% project at Google Times. So the company doesn't know. Anyway, and today I was really excited since Figma announced the Figma Make, right? So you can do everything with the prompt, but it's just baby step. And actually, it is not. It is no surprise because I interview a lot of the design teams at enterprise and small startups and SMB size companies, but some design teams are already use cursor or AI tools, so they never touch graphic tools, including Figma. And then product team get together and then open up the laptop and then just starting the PLD using the cursor. So they just prompting feature request, feature list, and then get the working prototype. So I believe the Figma is just try to keep the pace with the new design process. So, the design process is evolving. That's what I want to point out here. So with pt.2, we always thinking designer's mindset, and also we are making something cool, to fit you guys' needs. So please stay tuned. And hopefully enjoy the pie. So I always bring the pie as a dessert. So thank you.
Big shout out to Punchcut as well to provide us the space and really help us kind of facilitate this event. So, Ken, if you want to share.
Thank you. I'm Ken Oiler, CEO and co-founder of Punchcut, and we are so grateful you're here. We're thankful to Peter and Tony for giving us this opportunity to host you in our house, as well as to sponsor this event. So really grateful, really inspiring discussions today. I hope we all leave with some new ideas and perspectives we can bring to our design organizations. For those of you who don't know Punchcut, we are a design accelerator. We seamlessly partner with companies to help them accelerate innovation through human-centered product design focused on emerging technologies. So as of late, we're working with a lot of companies in technology, media, mobility and automotive, finance, healthcare, to help them integrate AI into their customer experiences. And they all have these mandates from on high that they need to integrate AI and design and drive new value with it. The challenge is that all of this is believing that technology is the savior. And what we do is we partner with those internal design teams and really be that advocate for humanity and for that human-centered design process. So we're helping them design and create more intelligent services, more sensory interfaces, more social agents and assistants, and then automation tools. Because we believe AI has a lot of power, but only if it enhances our human experience. And that is what we believe when we come into a company, when they're saying, well, my CEO wants to drive more ROI with this, what do? Well, we believe you put people first, you drive value for them, and that value returns back to the business. So we have a unique engagement model. It's called Design Acceleration. Unlike traditional agencies, we've optimized ourselves to be very flexible, agile, and more seamlessly integrated with your team. We provide services from design research, future vision, product design, and then design technology and realization. If you have need to scale your team, we can help. If you have need to augment with expertise to really design that next step where you need to go with your product, let's have a chat. We're just grateful you're here, and thank you so much.
Thank you all for coming.